This is a bunch of headlines from the press about Russiagate over the past few years. Let's see. How Russia weaponized Russophobia. From the Foreign Press. How Russia tried to weaponize Charlie Sheen. From The Guardian. Russia looks to buy 5 dolphins with perfect teeth and a killer instinct. From Washington Post, there's a new alleged Russian spy. It's a beluga whale. From Bloomberg, 4 ways to counter Russia's social media warfare. From The Hill, Russia has weaponized the energy sector in war against the West. Eurovision, Russia and weaponized disability. That's. I assume that's a catapult that hurls, handicapped people at folks. Radio Free Europe, the risks in the Kremlin's weaponization of the economy. The Atlantic, how Russia persecutes its dissidents using U.S. courts. Real Clear World, how Russia's population is being weaponized.
Wow, the Russians are weaponizing themselves.
They're weaponizing themselves, which I guess is called having an army. Is that the definition of that? Or? For Russia, this is from Bloomberg. For Russia, even the language can be weaponized. So
goddamn.
Now their language is a weapon. The Atlantic, how the media became one of Putin's most powerful weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Radio Free Europe, Polish Prime Minister calls Nord Stream 2 a weapon of hybrid warfare. This is before we blew up the Nord Stream 2. So if you were wondering who had plans to blow up the Nord Stream 2, perhaps the folks that are writing articles calling it a weapon. BBC, migrant crisis, Russia and Syria weaponizing migration. CNN, America's racism has long been Russia's secret weapon. Jaffer, did you know that racism in America caused by Russia? AP, Russian army demonstrates latest weapon, cuddly puppies. That's not a joke, by the way. That's a real article.
My God.
Sounds like Onion, but the weaponization of postmodernism, Russia's new war with Europe. Is Russia weaponizing refugees to advance its geopolitical goals? Center for Strategic International Studies, Russia's weaponization of tradition.
My God.
Mail Online, can Russia control the weather? Climate researcher says CIA fears hostile nations are triggering floods and droughts. Yes, Russia flooded the United States.
My God.
Atlantic Council, Putin's Russia has weaponized World War II.
How could these bastards manage to weaponize a war?
How could they manage to make World War II not a good thing? This is offensive. Is 14-legged killer squid found 2 miles beneath Antarctica being weaponized by Putin?
Oh, my God.
BBC, how Putin's Russia turned humor into a weapon. Uh-oh, is that about us? That might have been about Redacted Tonight.
Yeah, it was.
Russia reportedly used Pokemon Go in an effort to inflame racial tensions, which is also, that's doubly hilarious because I don't know how many people recall this, but Pokemon Go created by the CIA, created by In-Q-Tel.
Well, I didn't know that.
The CIA's venture capital firm helped fund Pokemon Go, which then gave them crazy amounts of data of just like every place around the entire country.
Wow, not even Pikachu is sacred in this country? God damn, I'm pissed off.
No, because the CIA wants to get a Pikachu. Come on, really Jaffer. Come on.
Really good.
These are the jokes, Jaffer. Russia accused of weaponizing space after anti-satellite missile test. Literally, the United States has a space force.
Yeah.
Like, we have an entire group of weapons for space.
Russia's managed to weaponize space. The only thing left is for them to weaponize time, and then they'll have it all.
They've been working on it. Weaponizing misinformation to destabilize the West. UK Defense Secretary warns of Russian hacking. Russia is researching how to weaponize deadly Ebola virus. It's Ebola virus. It's already weaponized. It's already not positive. As part of a catastrophic doomsday project, ironically, they're trying to claim Russia is weaponizing Ebola virus, even though COVID was almost definitely created in a lab with U.S. funding. Fake news and botnets, how Russia weaponized the web. Ironic, The Guardian accusing others of fake news. The weaponization of tedium is Putin's new strategy.
Tedium.
His campaign will mix populism, paranoia, and outright boredom.
What? How do they manage to come up with this?
He's not interesting enough, apparently. Putin has weaponized wokery, Western wokery, and amnesty has been fooled. War on the West on the brink of vaccine world war as Putin has weaponized basically the Russian vaccine to attack the EU. Wait, what? Russia unveils unique weaponized icebreaker as it It's not if it's breaking ice, it's not weaponized. It's just an icebreaker. Vladimir Putin outwitted Megyn Kelly by weaponizing incompetence. Well,
classic therapy speak right there.
I'm not denying Megyn Kelly is incompetent, but
yeah. I'm just saying someone went to therapy, learned some new terms.
Yeah.
Weaponizing them against our enemies.
Weaponizing hypocrisy in Russia and beyond. Okay, I gotta stop. I'm tired of this. How Russia weaponized Russophobia.
I'm gonna remember weaponized tedium for the rest of my life. That is such a potent insult, like, oh yeah, nice set there. I was falling asleep. What was that weaponized tedium you were employing? Like, my God.
Okay, so the reason I went through all those was to remind everybody just how insane Russiagate had gotten over the past several years. Thanks to Aaron Mate. He's writing over at Real Clear Investigations. And basically, he put in a FOIA request for essentially the origins of Russiagate. And we'll get into it, but a lot of people might forget that the FBI opened, Russiagate kind of began right after Trump won, and the FBI opened this investigation into whether Trump was a Russian asset, was working with Russia. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is still hiding critical details on the Russia conspiracy investigation that engulfed his first term. In response to a Freedom of Information request filed by Aaron Mate, it was filed in 2022, in August 2022. So you're talking 2.5 years, released a heavily redacted copy of the document that opened an explosive and unprecedented counterintelligence probe of the sitting president as an agent of Russian government. This doesn't quite explain that. He asked for the document that shows the origins, the thing that opened the investigation into Trump, the origins of Russiagate. And they just recently, in the past few days, sent him back that document, and it's almost completely redacted, meaning they are clearly afraid of revealing the truth as to why the FBI investigated a sitting president. Look, I hate Trump as much as the next guy, but I also hate Biden. But when the FBI is opening investigations of sitting presidents, there should be a damn good reason. There'd be a damn good reason, and you should know what it is.
And it's we could think of a few reasons if we wanted to. If y'all want reasons, just ask.
No, I've often made the point that the reason they went after him for this Russia thing is because they can't go after him for all the stuff that every president does. Mm-hmm. They can't go after him for war crimes. They can't go after him for. Mm-hmm. They go after him for the thing that is different from the Democrats. Mm-hmm. The electronic communication dated May 2017, claimed to have an articulable factual basis, quote unquote, to suspect that Trump wittingly or unwittingly was illegally acting on behalf of Russia and accordingly posing threats to the national security of the United States. Now, a point that Matt Taibbi also makes is in order to be acting as an agent, criminally acting as an agent of Russia, you can't be doing it unwittingly. Legally, in order to be illegally acting, in legal terms, in order to be illegally acting as an agent of Russia, you have to do it wittingly. So the idea that this document says he was wittingly or unwittingly acting as an agent of Russia it's total nonsense. The FBI's goal, it added in the document, was to determine if President Trump is or was directed by, controlled by, or coordinated activities with the Russian Federation. It additionally sought to uncover whether Trump and unnamed others obstructed any associated FBI investigation, a reference to Crossfire Hurricane, the initial FBI inquiry into the Trump campaign's suspected cooperation with an alleged Russian interference plot in the 2016 election. So the first FBI investigation was about whether anyone in his campaign had been involved in helping Russia infiltrate our elections, or however they phrased it. This newer one, or the 2017 one, was whether Trump himself, not his campaign, but himself, was working with Russia. The May 2017 probe was specifically targeted at the president himself during his 4th month in office. The investigation of Trump was undertaken at the behest of then acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe 1 week after Trump had fired his former boss and mentor, James Comey. So you don't think there's any correlation there, right? That Trump fires James Comey. Week later, FBI opens investigation into whether Trump is a Russian actor. Jim Baker, the FBI general counsel, was also signed off on it. Baker was a longtime friend of Michael Sussman, a lawyer for the presidential campaign of Hillary Clinton, a key figure in the dissemination of Clinton-funded disinformation to the FBI that falsely tied Trump to Russia. In In his FBI role, Baker personally circulated the conspiracy theory manufactured by researchers working with the Clinton campaign that the Trump campaign and Russia were communicating via a secret server. After leaving the FBI, Baker served as deputy general counsel at Twitter, where he backed the company's censorship of reporting on the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop, based on yet another conspiracy theory that the laptop files were Russian disinformation. Are you noticing a theme? So here's some images of the document, and they left like 2 paragraphs, that one and that one, unredacted. Everything else they gave him is redacted.
Wow, hilarious.
Along with Crossfire Hurricane, the May 2017 counterintelligence probe was folded into special counsel investigation led by Robert Mueller, who was appointed just 1 day after the FBI began portraying Trump internally as a possible Russian agent. Mueller's final report did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. And I covered this, endlessly at the time. I don't remember every last detail because it was like a day by day, just trickle of information.
It was so much to try to keep track of because it was so ridiculous.
It was so many people. And Mueller ultimately, after all of it took him like 2 years, didn't it? After all of it, he indicted 14 people at a clickbait farm in St. Petersburg, Russia, that they could not tie to the Russian government, and that they didn't have proof actually swayed or even tried to sway the election, other than putting up Facebook ads that weren't even clearly pushing for one candidate or the other. And they remember that he indicted people. Most people don't know he dropped all the indictments like a few months later, a few weeks later, because the judge in the case said that there needed to be evidence. And basically Mueller couldn't come up with enough to even convince the judge, who's trying to side with the U.S. government, but he just dropped all the indictments. Like
classic Russia weaponizing not doing something in order to embarrass our own government officials.
Oh my God, that'd be the headline right there. Russia weaponizes its own innocence.
Yes, Russia weaponizes not doing Russiagate. In latest Russiagate,
Russia weaponizes having nothing to do with Russiagate. According to a January 2019 account in the New York Times, which first revealed the FBI's decision to investigate Trump. And by the way, if the New York Times reveals something, it means like something like that. It means the U.S. government wanted them to reveal it. It's leaked to them in order to reveal it. So the FBI probably wanted them to get the country talking about how there's an investigation into Trump. Anyway, which first revealed the FBI's decision to investigate Trump. The Steele dossier, a collection of conspiracy theories funded by Trump's rival, Hillary Clinton, was among the factors that fueled the FBI's concerns. So Hillary Clinton and her co-conspirators fund the Steele dossier, which is ultimately completely false. But at the time, people don't know that. Completely false Steele dossier is then used by the FBI to open an investigation into Trump.
I remember those years. I had never read the word unsubstantiated more in my life during that time.
The FBI re-enlisted Steele so they go back to Steele despite possessing information that thoroughly discredited him. 5 months before it newly sought Steele's help to investigate the sitting president, the FBI interviewed Igor Danchenko, whom Steele had used as his dossier's key subsource in that 2017 meeting. So Danchenko is listed as like one of the main sources in this dossier. And yet in the 2017 meeting, he tells the FBI agents that corroboration for the dossier's claims was zero, that he had, quote, no idea where the claims sourced to him came from, and that the Russia-Trump rumors he passed along to Steele came from alcohol-fueled, quote, word of mouth and hearsay, unquote. McCabe therefore had no evidence that Trump had a connection to Russia, and in fact could only wonder if there was one. Yet because Trump had fired Comey, whose FBI was already investigating Trump's campaign for Russia ties and relying on the Clinton-funded Steele dossier in the process, McCabe decided they had grounds to order an espionage investigation into the commander-in-chief. I mean... This can't be overstated how insane this is. But both in terms of like having no reason to open this in the first place, but then to keep it going for years with just false stories in the press.
I don't know, Lee. Do you know what it feels like to lose an election to Donald Trump? It doesn't feel very good.
True. When you look that dumb.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this comes back to the Clintons. I mean, the Steele dossier and everything. And apparently there's been some people have revealed that there was a meeting about a week after, 5 days after Hillary Clinton lost, where they decided they would blame it on Russia. But what I was trying to remind people is, do you remember there was like a few days, like Trump wins, the nation's shocked. There's probably 2-3 days where the Clinton campaign blames the FBI because Comey had reopened the investigation into her laptop or her servers or whatever a week before the election. So Clinton and her campaign go, oh my God, Comey and the FBI cost us this election, blah, blah, blah. But apparently within those 3 days, I don't know if threats were made. I don't know if someone realized that, hey, you don't want to go up against the FBI. That would really screw us. But in those, 3 to 5 days, there's a sudden shift where Comey becomes a hero. Right now, Comey's a hero of the neoliberals. And they stop saying the FBI cost Hillary the election. They start saying Russia did it.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
While the original Trump-Russia investigation has been discredited, the public remains in the dark as to why the FBI launched a follow-up counterintelligence probe that targeted Trump while he was newly in the White House and what ends it took to pursue it. And I don't know. I think that the key takeaway of this is that the FBI is clearly still scared, even today, considering how much of that document they redacted. Still scared to reveal what it was they used to open this investigation.